Good evening. I'd like to call the regular board meeting of the Ross Valley Sanitary District, December 17th, 2025, to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Director Meggs?
Here.
Director Silla? Here. Director Kelly?
I'm here.
Director Gaffney?
Here.
Director Borstein?
Still here.
I
Thank
would
you.
like to have you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're now going to adjourn to closed session. Oh, good evening. I'm calling back the reconvening to open session of the regular board meeting of the Ross Valley Sanitary District of December 17th. Report actions taken by the board during closed session. There are no action items to report out. Can I have a approval of the agenda or any changes to the agenda?
I'd like to move the agenda item for the financial audit, which is agenda item 12, to right after the,
Number 14.
okay, is it number 14?
I think you each discussed moving something
And also,
different.
we have, a,
So are we moving both?
yeah.
Okay, got it.
What's the other one, Tom?
14.
14. Let's do 14 and then 12, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, very good. Okay. So with that, do I have a motion to approve that? In a second?
Second.
All approved?
I
Aye. Okay, that moves. So now is the time for public comment. Is there any public in the audience that wishes to speak on items not on the agenda? Are there any Zoom? No. Okay, moving on. Let's move item number 14, conduct interview and consider appointment of member of large to CMSA commission. Who's taking that?
be happy to. Thank you, Director Kelly, members of the board. Excuse me. Currently, two Ross Valley Sanitary District directors serve as the district's representatives to the Central Marin Sanitation Agency's commission. And in accordance with the CMSA Joint Powers Authority agreement, they can also appoint a member at large, Andrew Poster, who's a resident of San Anselmo, a registered civil engineer, and an experienced sewer district manager, has expressed interest in serving in that capacity as a member at large, appointed by the Ross Valley Sanitary District to sit on the CMSA commission. He's submitted a letter of interest to that effect, and he is joining us here tonight in person to answer any questions by the board. And with that, I turn it back to you, President Kelly. Thank you.
Andrew, why don't you come on up to the podium? How are you?
Being recorded.
You might want to aim it up at him too, though.
All right, how are we doing now?
No, I don't, is it working?
Is it? I don't know. Doesn't sound. How about I do this?
That's good. That's good. Well, thank you for coming, Andrew. And I met you the other day for lunch. It was great. Thank you for that, taking the time. Do you have questions or do you want to make comments?
No, I'd like to, maybe you'd like to say a few words and then we could make some comments and then,
Sure, no problem. First, thanks for having me. And by moving me up in the agenda, does that mean you didn't want me to hear the financial audit? Is there something? Is that something I should know?
You're welcome to stay.
It is a clean, it is an unmodified opinion.
We didn't want you to know about how selling the cars.
So as Felicia mentioned, resident of San Anselmo. I've lived there since 2003 with my family. We are definitely civic minded. I've definitely with the kids and children done all sorts of trash days, volunteering with seniors, cleaning up all sorts of things up and down Novato and Marin and so forth. But in general, I thought this was a real good opportunity for both me and for the district. I'm currently the public works director for the city of Mill Valley. And in that role, I, in the past, oversaw all the staff that maintained and operated SASM, which is a sister agency to the CMSA, Sewer Agencies of Southern Marin. In Mill Valley, we're responsible for 56 miles of pipe, 3 pump stations, about 1,000 manholes or so forth. Actually, I think it's more like 500. But anyway, there's a lot of parallels to what I do on a daily basis and to what I think you folks are looking for. And I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to both grow my professional network, get some background. I've always had a deep respect as your general manager and manager now for years now. We've been coming over here periodically, learning from some of the crew, really impressed by things like the data collection. They thought they knew where one of the maintenance folks about 6-7 years ago told me, hey, we thought we knew where all the issues were here. And then we started collecting data and we found out it's the manholes. We need to really concentrate on fixing the manhole. So it's a real common problem for all of us fixing I&I. I watched the last couple of board meetings to prepare for this meeting to see what you guys were talking about. And it's just impressive, right? Your general manager talks about the awards you get all the time. Not everybody gets those awards. It's a really well-run organization, and I'm available and interested in helping however you guys think I can best help you.
Okay. Tom, do you want to start?
Well, yeah, I mean, I also met with you about a while back, a couple of months, 3 months ago, whatever it was. And I think we need some new blood to go to CMSA every now and then. And for example, the next CMSA meeting is February 10th, and I'm going to be in Asia. So think of February 10th. That might be a good start to go with this. I think your work at SASM and with the county and being an engineer and following all this would be a big help.
I agree with that. Michael.
Come on in. Yeah.
I just want to know, have you been watching the CMSA meetings? Are you familiar with what you're getting into on that actual
I
board?
did watch some a few months ago when this opportunity first came up to see what I was getting into. And yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we do have similar situations with SASM and with the JPA. We have 6 members there, and you know, it's tricky.
And the 6 members there, are they equally represented?
Equally represented on the board, certainly not on the flow. Mill Valley has about 50% of the flow. Richardson's Bay has about 35% of the flow. The other ones vary from about 2 to 8%, but yet everyone has an equal vote. So there's challenges, right? There's different pieces of infrastructure and assets in all the different regions. It would be nice from SASM's point of view if they didn't have anything to maintain what they call outside the walls, outside the treatment plant. But they don't. There's some shared pipes, there's some shared pump stations, and there's some that flow into each other. And we don't have the best way to monitor all the flows. CMSA, I understand, does have a pretty good way to monitor the flows. And I understand, you know, there's been questions about where they're doing the monitoring, where in the pipe. And that's interesting that you're going to 3 o'clock. I'm wondering why it's not more like 4 o'clock so you can get some of the solids for all, but so be it.
That's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, there are a lot of issues, and it goes from this sort of, you know, challenge of feeling like we're 50% of the flow, but we're only 2/5 of the represented votes, to feeling like we have come a long way in terms of our management and leadership in the past 12 years. And, you know, Jason Dow has been running that since the beginning of time, basically. I'm wondering if you're familiar with Jason.
Yeah, I've met him years ago in passing. I haven't worked very close with him, but I've been to a MOS meeting or two back in the 2016, 2018 timeframe.
Great. All right. Well, I'm just really grateful that you're willing to do this on our behalf. Yeah, it is a challenging situation for many, many reasons. And I appreciate you bringing your expertise and skills to help us out and clear interpersonal skills. Do you go by Andrew or Andy? I've already heard.
No, it's a good question. I usually write Andrew.
Uh-huh.
Whenever I introduce myself as Andy, for whatever reason, I used to have a Boston accent. I probably haven't had it for 20 years now, but whenever I introduce myself as Andy, people always say, nice to meet you, Eddie. Nice to meet you, Danny.
Oh,
I don't know why I say it improperly, but Andrew is written. You can address me either way.
okay. Thank you very much. Clearing that up for the board.
No, the reason I said that is because when I called up Mill Valley to speak to you and I asked for Andy Poster and they said, who? Nobody. And I said, Andrew? Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. So,
Hi, I'm Pam. As you've heard, there is some issues going on with CMSA. So my first question is, how do you deal with conflict?
Very collaborative. So first of all, you have to understand the issue, right? You have to know the people, know what they're trying to do, who they're representing, and what that representation means to them. But actually, I should have mentioned as well in my opening remarks, I'm actually the chair of the Marin General Services Authority. So we have some conflict, not as much, but you have to bring folks together. I've served on many committees, Traffic Safety Committee, Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee in San Anselmo when that was getting reinvigorated in the mid 2016s as well. But it really comes down to working with the people and making sure that everybody respects each other and sees and understands their point of view. And they're just trying to voice that professionally.
And what do you enjoy the most about this kind of work?
Absolutely coming to resolution.
Oops.
Yeah. Just hit it.
What?
If they,
Enjoy the end of the month, right?
Yeah.
You work towards something, and eventually you're going to bring it to conclusion. It may not be the exact or perfect conclusion that you want, but you're working as a team to get somewhere, move forward.
great, thank you.
Anybody else? Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I move that we appoint Andrew Poster as member at large to the CMSA Commission in accordance with the CMSA JPA.
All in favor?
I.
Motion carries. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you,
Okay.
Andy.
Welcome. Now we're
Have a
going
great
to,
night. Thanks for being here.
February 10th meeting
So Andrew will be representing us February 10th?
at
Yep.
CMSA.
More than likely, I do have an impending trip that is out of my control and family. But it's likely sometime in February. And I'll be
Okay.
working with them.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay, and so we're going to move on to number 12.
Thank you.
Consideration of accepting the fiscal year 2025 financial audit and annual comprehensive financial reports. That's number 12.
Well, thank you, President Kelly. As we've discussed each year, we are required to perform a financial audit. And this year's audit was conducted by the public accounting firm of Cropper Accountancy Corporation. And I'd like to introduce Victor Damiani, our Chief Finance Officer, to begin the item and then ultimately bring up the auditor to give his report. Thanks, Victor.
Good evening again to the chair and members of the board. We are pleased to present the ACFR tonight for 2024-25, which is the annual comprehensive financial report. I'm going to briefly review our financial results, and then as Steve mentioned, I'll hand it over to John, our auditor, to present the results of the audit. The ACFR includes a management discussion and analysis section, the auditor's letter, which is their opinion, the financial statements, which are our statement of net position, which is similar to a balance sheet, and then the changes in net position, which is like a profit and loss statement, and then a cash flow statement. The document also includes extensive notes, supplementary information, and statistical information. As you've noticed, the full document is 113 pages long, but a good way to get a brief overview is to read the MD&A section, which is 14 pages long. And the rest of the document can really just serve as a reference point if you need to dig deeper into any particular aspect of the district's financials. There is one new section this year in the ACFR, which is the budget to actual comparison schedule. So we'll take a quick look at that tonight too. So to get into the financial reporting actuals, we'll take a look at the highlights. If you go to document page 18, packet page 144. On that page, you'll see the second half, you'll see our financial highlights there. The bulleted list. So the first bullet has to do with our statement of net position. Our assets and deferred outflows of resources exceeded our total liabilities and deferred inflows by $123.7 million. That net position can be broken down further. The largest portion of it is $98.5 million, which represents investment in capital assets. Then there's $8.8 million, which is restricted net position, which is really our 115 trust. And then the remainder, $16.4 million, is unrestricted, which is really like the bottom line for us. The next bullet point, our capital assets have increased for the year by $6.1 million, or 3.35%. And now stand at $186.4 million. The total net position increased for the year by $11 million, or 9.8%. Our revenues increased by $1.5 million or 3.9%, and came in at 41 million. Expenses increased also, but not as much, and they increased by 839 million or 2.8%, and the total was 31 million. Another highlight is to look at our net pension liability, which decreased by $100,000 or 1%, and now stands at 9.16 million. And lastly, our bonds and loan payable net of the unamortized premium decreased by 3.4 million or 3.8%, and now stands at 87.3 million. So that's just a quick look at the financial highlights for the year.
Great.
As I mentioned, there's also a budget comparison schedule. So if you want to take a look at page 83 or page 209 for the board packet number, page number, you'll see this. This is a new schedule that we didn't have in our ACFR previously.
Okay.
This schedule has the adopted budget in the first column and then the actual results in the second column, and shows a variance both by dollar amount and by percentage. The top half is our use of funds, basically like expenditures, and the bottom half is the source of funds, our revenues. And if you look down that column for the budget column, you'll see that we had planned for a $2 million spend down. But actual results were only a 91,000. So we improved over budget by nearly $2 million. The very next page.
I can see why you added this.
It's coming up as a requirement.
Oh, okay,
GFOA as well.
But it looks
That's
good.
the other reason.
Yeah, okay.
So the very next page has a discussion of the significant variances. We did go through this somewhat in July when we had a preliminary report, but now these are the final numbers that have been audited. So the main variances on the budget basis are that the capital projects were over budget by $2.5 million, but that was offset by $1 million in salary and benefit savings due to vacant positions. We also had some capital vehicle purchases in the amount of $665,000 that were deferred into the next budget year. And then there was $737,000 of bond proceeds, which resulted from the sale of the Kerner building. So these results that we're looking at here tonight are about $1.5 million better than the preliminary report in July. And that's mainly due to we had additional investment income from LAIF, and then also with the 115 trust with CalPERS. We also had our final property tax payment, which also included our final sewer service payment from the county. And then we booked the amortization of the bond, which reduces our expense. And then there were all sorts of smaller adjustments that were made that came up to that total difference. One thing you might notice is that on the budget basis, the results are quite a bit different than on the financial reporting basis. And that's because when we're looking at the budget, you might notice that there's several line items in here that are not really expense or revenue items. They're really assets and liabilities, such as, for an example, is capital projects. So we don't book that as an expense. We book that as a capital asset. But it's good and the right thing to do to budget for it and compare our budget to see how it is. But those are the types of things that make this report different from the financial report we looked at.
When you're talking about assets and liabilities, I asked you a question at the finance meeting, but I'll ask it for the benefit of the others here. What is Larkspur Landing's
The base
asset amount? How's it listed?
So we know that I think we decided it was $35,000 originally, but then there was the remediation costs, which was also capitalized. So that's on the books. And I believe that was around 12 million. But Yeah. Those,
How is it listed as a valuation right now?
at cost. Yeah. Those
Which
are
is-
at cost.
which is?
The numbers I just mentioned. They stay on the books.
Okay.
For land, they don't depreciate. It's just on the books.
Okay.
At cost.
So that will change.
Yes.
That from the numbers I've heard, there will probably be recognizing a gain.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very
So
much.
that's all I had. And then I was going to turn it over to John Cropper to report on the results of the audit.
Thank you, Victor. President Kelly and esteemed members of the board, it's a pleasure to be here to present the auditor's report. I guess you would say after Victor's great presentation that not a lot more needs to be added other than what was the auditor's opinion. That's what the board pays us for. And it's an unmodified, clean opinion, as you would expect. The district is in good hands and doing very well. As you can see from this report and the highlights that were handled, very, very much impressed with the audit and those that the board has hired. They are performing their functions very well. We have no management letter. You also were the first district to finish your ACFR this year. And we do several of these audits. So that ACFR was ready for us. We could spend our time worrying about the audit and looking for things that auditors look for rather than worrying about your records. So I think that's noteworthy.
Okay. Tom?
One of the things I'd like to highlight is the net pension liability.
Mhm.
I'm not on. One of the things I'd like to highlight is the net pension liability. Where is that? And including the.
Sure. The notes are, I think it's note 9. Could be,
What page?
9 is long-term debt. Sorry. We'll get there.
I was trying to find it and I'm.
Pension plan, note 12.
Victor, page?
He's, I think, in the MD&A.
Page? Thank you.
183,
153.
153. Where's the here? Okay, gosh. Yeah, okay, that's the. Okay, there it is down at the bottom and page 20, page 153, page 27 of the
Mhm.
management report. And our, the audited net liability is like 9.1 million. But we also have our CEPPT trust, the trust, and that went up almost $800,000.
Mhm.
And so our unfunded liability is less than 2%.
It's 98.6% funded.
Yeah.
98.68%
cool.
funded.
And the OPEB is in similar condition. We're 82.9% funded.
Yeah.
For OPEB. So, that's
Right. Considering the other assets there, if you were to look in the required supplementary information, it would probably read more from a gap basis on the 74%.
right. Yeah.
But you're in a great position.
Okay.
And as you know, from the meeting that we had a couple days ago, we went over all these numbers in great detail, and so I wasn't going to repeat.
Okay.
But
On the audit now, so I understand, did we produce all the numbers on the audit and then you reviewed them?
yes,
So
So-
Victor and his help did that. I mean, and you take a look at all the calculations in
Yep.
this audit. It is astounding. So thank you.
Yes, and that is the way to keep your auditor the most independent that you can. When the auditor is, and the law, the standards are getting more and more strict on these things. It should be that staff is preparing the audit report and the auditor is reviewing the way that we did it here.
Okay.
So that's also noteworthy.
Yeah. So it's very terrific. It's a great all around document too.
It
for
is.
all kinds of financial
Right.
information.
I noticed one thing, which I believe attachment B is your letter, and it looks like it's addressed to the Dublin Community Services District or something. So
What page is it?
I don't know how often we send this letter out. It is board packet 241. It looks like a cut and paste was done, and it's. we're not-
The SAS 114 letter is
that-
addressed.
I don't
We have
care.
another client there. That looks like their
That's
address.
just the way my eye works. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, Dublin.
That's a good catch. Yeah. Thank you for
Uh-huh,
that.
no problem.
Luckily, that's not on our opinion.
Okay.
But it's addressed to us. just
It
has
is
the wrong
addressed to
address.
you. Yeah.
Was that the city
Wait a
of
minute,
Dublin or was it?
I think
No,
we-
we are also the auditors for Dublin San Ramon Services District, which is another client.
That's fine.
We won't ask if their audit was as clean as ours.
Was it?
I imagine it
I can tell you that it
was.
wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Tom, do you have any other questions or
No,
comments?
no, uh-uh.
Michael?
We got to review this.
Yeah, we did. We at length. Michael has none. Pam? Mary? I made one small comment, and that was the organizational chart of RVSD should have the ratepayers at the top when that's missing.
I looked at that because we did at one point have that years ago when Greg was here. So sure.
Okay. No questions here, no comments, no questions from me, but just a great job. I appreciate the hard work
Yeah.
and thank you for coming out in person.
Yeah, I wanted to get here and see faces. Zoom has taken over my world a little bit, and it's a pleasure to be here and to see all of you.
Okay.
You too.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All
Thank
right.
you, John.
Do we
Okay.
have to move, accept?
Annual comprehensive financial report.
Second?
All in favor?
I,
Aye. All opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you again. Okay, so having finished that, we're going to go to number 8, committee and representative report out. We're going to start with the finance committee. Tom?
Okay. Yes, the finance committee.
wait, did we do, we didn't do the,
Popular.
no, the
He
whole,
didn't ask to move it.
The what?
He didn't ask to move it when we did the agenda.
no, but
Yeah, we're on 8.
we did, okay. Oh, never mind.
Okay. All right. Finance committee, Tom.
Okay, well, we, of course, went over the audit
Mhm.
as well at the finance committee on Monday, where we met on Monday. But we also went over the November financial report. And if you look at that, which is 11B, real quick, our budget to date, everything, all the expenses are slightly below budget, not too much, pretty close, except for the treatment costs, which we pay semi-annually. So that's, scheduled. So all of our expenses are below budget slightly. So we're in good shape. The interesting thing is, this is our low cash time of year. And we actually used up all of our reserves. Luckily, we did get our payment from the county for property taxes. So that's in the range of, so we're now back in the black again. But it was expected. We went over disposal of the surplus on trucks, which we'll talk. No, I guess we won't talk about that. They take a look at the picture. They're in pretty good shape. And we're switching to electric vehicles, which I think is pretty cool. I think we've got 3 now. And then we're going to talk about the popular annual financial report, which is another good document, which we won an award for. Anything else, Doug? I think we
No.
covered it. Yeah.
That's it. Okay, Pam, North Bay Watershed, please.
Yes, we met December 5th in Corte Madera. at the Marin Municipal Water District. We had a guest speaker, Jay Lund, who was from the UC Davis Center for Watershed Sciences. And his presentation was about the North San Francisco Bay and the Delta, past, present, and future. A lot of it had to do with climate change, but he had a broad discussion of the history of the North Bay, the Delta complex, its current ecological and water conditions, and prospects for the future with rising temperatures and sea level. The presentation highlight connections and some differences between these two regions in terms of ecology and human water uses and management, and how these have changed and opportunities and problems for the future. He also did point out, right near Redwood High School. I don't know if any of you were down there for the King Tide. That's the most I've ever seen it flood. It was really bad. So it's coming to get us, sea level rise, and we're not really working fast enough on it. The last thing I'll update you is the conference will be on April 9th from 9 to 3. We're going to meet in the new building at the Corte Madera, the College of Marin, brand new building in Novato.
Indian Valley College.
Yeah. And the topic is meeting this moment in a climate of change. And there'll be sliding scale tickets. And we're celebrating 25 years as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could just make one point that the presenter there, which kind of amazed me, the coastline on the West Coast here used to be out at the Farallon Islands. It was dry all the way out to the Farallon Islands. And there was a river that came right down from up north through the Raccoon Straits and out the Golden Gate Bridge. So sea level rise is nothing new. The difference is that back then, you just moved your tent a few feet every couple of years, and it didn't make a difference. The problem is now we have tremendous infrastructure, and so we can't keep up with the sea level rise that's going on. But it's interesting with there's pictures of the river that goes all the way out to the Farallon Islands.
Yeah, that is interesting. And when was that?
15,000 years
It was during the Ice Age.
All right.
Exactly, yeah.
Central Marin Sand, who's going to do that, Tom or Michael?
I'll go ahead.
Okay,
Let's see, after the swelling went down.
Michael.
Microphone.
Yeah. So after the swelling went down and the punching stopped, it was really,
He's kidding.
yeah, more-
Andrew's here.
more or less.
Andrew's still here.
Oh.
Waiting for this report.
He's bigger than both of you, so it's fun.
They generally go very, very quickly, the meetings. Eli takes great pride in and Dean in how fast these meetings go. It's interesting, they're talking about all this stuff with SRSD, and they renewed the lease for the Marin Airporter for that same area that they would be putting in buildings supposedly for SRSD, but they renewed the lease for another year. Maybe there's a way out of it, but I thought that was interesting. Ours are better, but they had their ACFR and PAFR that we.
No, they do a good job over there on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
They do a very good job.
And so we went through that very quickly, just as we did here. And they're going to issue some more debt at some point, but it's unknown exactly when that will happen. It depends on financial conditions at the time. That's about it.
Okay, thank you. Special District Leadership Conference, Pam, or do you want me to do it, or does somebody else want to do the ones that they remoted
I'll
in?
just say something brief.
Okay.
You can pass this around. It's a brochure from it. how do I explain this? I think I took this 10 years ago. It was about 300 people maybe. And it's an amazing, unusual leadership conference, which is, I don't know, it's fascinating to me. And you meet people from all over the state. This is a special districts gathering. It's not CASA. Sorry, I'm not picking on you. I'm just telling you, much different. And so it's called a leadership academy. And the thing that I picked up the most was about learning. Never stop learning. And so a lot of, it brought up some key issues, political issues, and how do we act? How effective are we as a board member? So you can see how much information for, was it 2.5 days?
I did not bring mine. I have that.
3 days, I think the
It was-
whole conference was.
Mhm.
And I wasn't
by the
bored
way,
at all.
you must, in order to get the certificate, which we both did, mine is upstairs, I think. You can't miss any meetings.
No.
You have to go to everything.
No. So anyway,
It's good.
it's here. Maybe you want to put it on your, but there's a couple of things in here that I want to bring up, maybe with Christina and you. Okay. Thank you. That's
It
it.
was a very good conference. I think it went very well. I'm glad we attended it. You guys did yours by phone, is that or
Yeah,
by
but
Zoom?
we did something else. I did whatever I did. I can't remember,
What did he do?
but it was good.
Director Gaffney attended finance governance, Director Silla
Okay.
attended HR governance, and Director Borstein attended the CSDA
So we've all done
or
it.
CASA.
What-
I'm sorry, CSDA leadership conference.
Was there any financial point that you were interested in, or that you
Well,
learned that was different?
Do you remember the story, Doug, about the district that got ripped off from millions and millions, and they didn't find out until much later in the game? That was the most interesting story.
Yeah.
No, so that was good. Okay, I'll move on. Number 9, verbal report by general manager. Steve?
Thanks, Director Kelly and members of the board. I just got 4 things to cover. First, did you note the historic maps and documents that were framed in the welcome area? So please, want to thank Board Clerk Christina Winnicky for spearheading that effort, but working with staff to get some very nice copies of the historical documents, the formation documents of Sanitary District Number 1, which was known as Ross Valley Sanitary District, even all the way back in 1899. And there's written proof out in the lobby. So thank you for that. It gives a nice touch to the area. It rounds out our historic perspective, being probably the oldest existing sanitary district in the state of California. Let's see, give you a couple of reports on activities I was involved in this last month. It's a little along the lines of the North Bay Watershed Association type activities, but on December 2nd, I attended the CASA's exfiltration subgroup of the Collection Systems Committee. And there was a controversial study that was conducted recently in San Diego that suggested sewers are a source of human fecal bacteria in San Diego River and beaches. And CASA members are participating in a joint workshop this coming February, where wastewater representatives are getting together with stormwater representatives, regulators, folks in the academic community, and environmental groups to discuss study designs to conduct going forward to better answer questions about how widespread sewer leakage really is. We believe, our hypothesis is exfiltration is rare because of biofilms that form in the sewer system that provide a seal that's fairly hydrophobic, and it keeps wastewater from leaking out and exiting through minor defects in the pipe and through it's known as a colmation layer is the research that's been done on that. And we don't feel like that's been given proper recognition. And then the study design and the way data were collected has some flaws in the work done to date. Rather than focus so much on those flaws, we want to participate as a group, going forward on studies that that perhaps even here in Ross Valley, we might be able to set up some study designs here to support the research and the policy making. So I'll keep you update on that because that's a subgroup that I'm participating in.
Thank you.
On exfiltration. On December 5th, so my next report, I attended a field trip to observe a recently constructed horizontal levee in Palo Alto, the first of its kind. What is a horizontal levee? It's an engineered slope subsurface treatment wetland built between coastal levees and tidal marshes. So it's essentially this ecotone levee that incorporates nature-based treatment of wastewater effluent. It's a subsurface gravel layer that's constructed in a slope, a very gentle sloped levee that can accommodate sea level rise, but it also polishes the water quality of the effluent going into the bay. There have been experimental horizontal levees in the Bay Area, particularly in Hayward at Oroloma Marsh, but this is the first one that actually discharges to the bay. That one, and it's been permitted by the regulatory agencies.
And is that in lieu of an outfall?
So it's in addition to an outfall.
Okay.
Much like several NPDES permit holders in the Bay Area discharge through wetlands like Las Galinas, or Hayward Marsh or Mountain View Martinez, and even Palo Alto, they take treated effluent and put it through a marsh system for habitat. And there's incidental water quality improvement, and then it's permitted to go to the bay. This is the first horizontal levee that goes to the bay. And it's already treated effluent that meets effluent limits. The benefits are it reduces additional trace contaminants, like you hear of PFAS or other constituents of emerging concern. So there's science to support that gets reduced in these subsurface treatment wetlands, but also nutrients. And that's where we have an interest as, a member of the CMSA agency, is what kind of investments are we going to make at CMSA to meet strict nutrient reduction requirements in the regional permit? And, are there opportunities here in Marin County to not only meet nutrient discharge through conventional or innovative approaches like this, but also are there water supply opportunities where we would combine potable reuse with something like a horizontal levee that would treat the nutrients that still are part of the brine stream that would come from potable reuse. So this type of technology, it's not cheap. One of the things I learned by going there was it was a 2-acre facility, but it was $7 million. And to scale that up to something that would apply to our situation here, it would be in the tens of millions of dollars. And, there's going to be a struggle to make that cost effective unless there's some kind of other source of funding to make it happen. But it's my interest just technically in, these innovative solutions and being part of the Bay Area One Water Network and learning about these installations that are going in and the opportunities and the challenges. So it was very eye-opening. It was nice to see it got positive press. It was in the San Jose Mercury News that following week as a front page article about this innovative horizontal levee. So it was neat to be able to participate and ask lots of questions and learn that it was pretty expensive and hard to permit, because being the first of its kind, there's a lot of safeguards that go into the regulatory process. So horizontal levees. Finally, my last report, I wanted to let you know some good news. On Friday last week, we issued the request for proposals to the 5 selected developers from last month's board meeting, November board meeting. And the milestones in that process include the questions that have to be submitted by those 5 developers to our real estate team by January 7th. And then we provide responses as we did last time. If I recall, it was something like 89 questions that we answered last time. So hopefully not as many, but we'll do what we have to do. The submittals are due on January 26th. This is for the 2000 Larkspur Landing Circle property. The development proposals on January 26th. And then we're planning to have the respondent interviews the week of February 9th. And the developer selection, the preferred RFP respondent and runner-up parties will be published on March 13th, along with the board packet. And for certification by you, the board of directors, at our regular March meeting on March 18th. So those dates are subject to change, but that's the plan schedule for the RFP and our search for the preferred developer partner for the 2000 Larkspur Landing Circle property.
Thank you very much. Good news. Okay. Number 10, verbal reports by board members, requests for future agenda items. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing from here. So I'm now going to move on to the consent calendar.
I move approval of the consent calendar.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Number 13, consideration of accepting the fiscal year 2025 popular annual financial report. And Victor, please come up and do your thing.
Okay.
Yes, please, Victor, go ahead and
This is
introduce this item.
Yeah. So this is really the same numbers that we talked about with the ACFR, but the popular annual financial report has, as stated by the GFOA, has the purpose to provide clear, simple financial reports for citizens without finance backgrounds, and it's meant to supplement the annual comprehensive financial report. And the goal is to enhance financial transparency and help residents make informed decisions. So that's the purpose and the goal. And I think it's been 3 or 4 years that we've been issuing the PAFR, and I think we're meeting that goal. We've been getting the award from the GFOA each year that we've put it out, and we feel confident we'll get that award again this time. I guess this goes for the ACFR as well, actually, that upon acceptance, some of our next steps is that we'll print out copies for you, put them in the lobby, both of these reports, get them posted up to the website and submit them. Some of our other stakeholders will require copies of the ACFR. We'll get them those, and then we'll submit them to the GFOA for consideration of the award.
Excellent. And it's a clean document. It's really easy to read. It has a ton of information. It's really impressive. And there on page 3 is, as Steve mentioned earlier, the article, "A sewer system for Ross Valley Health is not to be neglected by the people of the Ross Valley Sanitary District. Number 1, it will be remembered that a few months ago, they voted to form a sanitary district and elected official to conduct the affairs of the district. These officials are all prominent citizens." Well, that was done. This is
But they're earnest in their efforts, and they still are.
Yeah, thank you very much. Victor, did you want to say anything else? Do you have questions? Because it's very similar.
If there's any questions, I'm available.
What's that?
If there's any questions, I'm available.
Michael?
I like that Michael and Tom showed up for picture day, apparently, for the staff picture day.
Our picture's on, mine's on 4 and Pam's
On
Pam's 4.
on page 1, there's a picture that, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. I think we have no
Thank you. I
questions.
love this.
Do I have a motion?
I move we accept the PAFR.
Second? Okay, Michael, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
That-
Number 15 is consideration of accepting the year-end capital program report for fiscal year 24-25.
Yes, just as the PAFR is a great resource for board members, if you have questions from your ratepayers or your colleagues about, how much do we spend on this or that, it's pretty easy to find, or where do we get our money from? And so our annual reports, for whether it's metrics last month or this month, a capital program report, really our intent here is to provide you information to answer questions that you may receive from ratepayers or you may have yourself, and try to present information in a way that's easy to follow. So and also remembering that these reports are as of June 30th. That's an important point that we try to remind, is their fiscal year reports. So it has been 5 months since the snapshot in our capital program. I will guide you to board packet page 302 to bring home maybe in a visual way, from this graphic here, where we've been in our capital program, and just point out that there's some interrelation to the financial reports you've been receiving as far as the capital program. It exceeded the budget by 2.5 million this last year, as you heard, right? And it was about 130% of what we had planned. But we took advantage of something that was happening concurrently, which was the sale of the old Kerner property and some other beneficial circumstances, such as having vacancies in staffing. And so having available resources to meet ambitious capital targets that are really driven by a program to infiltration and inflow of groundwater and stormwater into our system. Reducing spill risk, reducing the impacts to the treatment plant, and hopefully, reducing the need to blend partially treated wastewater in the treatment plant, and have better environmental quality. All those drivers feeding into this program, and us being opportunistic. And we've talked about this, with the Palm Man Cypress project, which was just getting started as this report. But this past year, when we exceeded our capital targets, we were adding projects that we saw as needed that were adjacent to work we were doing. And you approved those change orders because we had a competent contractor who was very efficient. And so we took advantage of those opportunities to really target known infiltration inflow sites. And as we've discussed in the metrics report, this year we saw the results as being the lowest percentage of the CMSA treatment plant in history.
38.
Yeah, we got down to 38%. Even this month, I'm getting ahead, but in November, we were at 39%. Remarkable, below 40% for 3 consecutive months this year. Never been done. Well, to achieve that, you go back to this graphic that I point you to. This is the culmination or the cumulative commitment. And the orange number is the millions of dollars that we spent in that first phase of infrastructure management coming out of the cease and desist order. We borrowed, and so some of our ACFR data about the bonds and the debt management that we do it fueled that work, and that 31 miles over 8 years, 31 miles of rehabilitation, $108 million. We borrowed $100 million. But I just think it's just worth celebrating now that we have a new IAMP that started 4 years ago, and now you have a 4-year track record of 42 million and 11 miles. If you look at the other bond funded work from 10 years ago, we had in 4 years almost identical amount of mileage, about 11 miles in 4 years. Maybe it was cheaper back then, 10 years ago. But what's the difference between then and now?
$4 million.
Pay as you go.
Yeah.
We achieved all of these outputs without going a penny into debt, because we're perfecting the art, in this capital program. So while it makes Victor a little nervous sometimes when we're pushing the envelope on how much we're spending, we're doing it strategically and we're getting measurable results. We're very excited. I mean, I'm excited, that, but our staff are excited. Phil Benedetti has a lot of, takes a lot home, a lot of pride in, home with him getting these things accomplished. Thankful to the board with giving us the flexibility and direction, to move opportunistically and quickly when needed, and supporting us in that. And then you see results here in our capital program. Of interest, if you flip the page back one of board packet 301, it's just kind of interesting how the type of capital projects has changed a little bit. If you go back in time 10, 12 years ago, and the type of work we're doing these days. That's what this graph attempts to do, is show you, and on the left side, our previous infrastructure management plan work that wrapped up around 2021, around that time frame. And then since 2021, the type of projects that we've been putting in the ground. You see a lot more of these creek crossings, so we're focusing more on risk, but also environmental protection. We also have done a lot of pump station projects. They're smaller but they're coming to fruition now. If you check the latest GM bulletin, we wrapped up the latest round of 3 pump stations. And then capacity projects, it really was a focus back before, and which helps with the I&I, certainly.
Yeah, sure
It
does.
also helped with spill risk. And now we've addressed most of the capacity issues in our system, and we still have some, but they're not
Fairfax.
and we have the Fairfax project coming up. So anyway, I wanted to celebrate some of those and then point out some of those differences, in terms of how the capital programs evolved and how we tried to capture that in these graphics. The program contains tables of, if you dig in, and you can see which consultants worked on different projects and professional services and how much they cost. And then at the end of the report, you see tables that detail some of the emergency repairs we've done, and the capitalized repair projects. That they're more of the less than $200,000 contracts, where we do an informal bidding process under the ordinance 110, and are able to get a lot of smaller projects done that way. So we account for that each year in this report. And I think that's all I have for my report.
And the miles of pipe, is that about 83, 84?
No, it's more like 50.
Wait a minute, total?
So what number are you looking
I'm
at?
looking at the figure on,
It's 42,
Yeah,
Okay.
31 plus 10.
oh,
Plus-
okay.
Yeah.
I was looking at the green number,
11
the green.
Well, in the
What
creek.
does the green represent?
miles,
Right.
31
Oh, okay.
and 11 for the.
Yeah, so it's less than 50.
Okay.
I was going to say, and isn't the work more expensive? I mean, in part because it's just more difficult, right? We got kind of the big, that's the way I was thinking about it, the big stuff done
Well,
early, and then you get to the creek crossings, which I imagine would be more expensive per mile.
Yeah, it's a great question. I do have to acknowledge that these are wrapped up. There's a lot wrapped up into these numbers, because it includes the pump station projects, which don't count toward the miles.
Got it.
Right. And so there were some more major pump station projects in the first wave of the IMP. But I would say the pump station projects are running about 20% more, than our estimates. So that's a little bit more expensive, but they're not as huge of projects in this last few years. And then also just the cost per mile of pipe is more expensive, today than before. It just, yeah. Even if we're doing the cost effective pipe bursting, it's still, there's an inflationary aspect.
And we know the history of the engineer's bids versus what we end up contracting for, which is always, we're getting a good deal, and there aren't a ton of change orders, at least in terms of dollar value. So
yeah, we're doing well. I mean, that's a general, that's what I share with my colleagues, is we're seeing that the mechanical work is about a quarter, percent, 25% higher than we hope. And the gravity work is about 20% lower than we hoped, the way the bids are coming in the last 3 or 4 years. That could change, but it depends on the contractors that are making the bids too.
all right,
Any questions?
are you entertaining a motion?
Yes, well, before I say, I just want to say that the emergency repair things I thought was very interesting.
I did too.
Yeah, it really was, and you got to get out there fast, get the job done, but that's also obviously where you're having your I&I. Yes, I'm entertaining a motion.
I move we accept the year-end capital report for fiscal year 24-25.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Consideration of approving the Ross Valley Sanitary District 2026 annual meeting and event calendar. That's item number 16. Kind of. Steve?
Yeah,
Or Christine?
yeah, well, Christina helped us pull this together, did a really nice job, easy to follow. She color coded the dates in the
Could have been on
calendar.
consent if Mary had responded. No.
But yeah, we want to make sure everybody's comfortable with the plan for what constitute the regular board meetings and finance committees for the next calendar year.
Questions, comments? Thank you for
No.
putting it together, Christina. It looks very good. It's easy to read, and I didn't see any dates that looked weird to me.
I move we approve the RVSD 2026 meeting and event calendar.
Second.
Who seconded that? I'm going to give that to Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Motion carries. Number 17.
Oh, good. Yes,
Paul.
Paul's waited patiently, so
I'm so happy
I'll
to
let
read
him.
this.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and, you already heard my highlight, which
I
was
saw that immediately.
40% for 3 consecutive months, less than 40% for 3 consecutive months. But Paul, please go ahead and give the board some highlights on our performance metrics in November.
Of course. Good evening, President Kelly, distinguished board, council, and staff. Thank you for your time this evening. First of all, I want to apologize for missing you last month, and for Steve presenting the metrics last month and jumping on the sword for me for a couple of those spills, which we'll get into a little bit later. But thank you again. Christina and I were at a HR conference, Cal Pelro, putting on our HR hats, learning how to do the ins and outs of the HR world. So it was very informative and a good training. But I'll start off with the operations. Staff received ethics training. And the subjects related to ethics laws that set a framework to guide the conduct and behavior of public officials and laws to preserve public's trust in public institutions who serve those public. The pump station crew and many other throughout the organization worked for the monumental task of a total force main shutdown to replace the flow meter at CMSA. This was done over 2 consecutive nights. So we actually did 2 full shutdowns. We shut down all the stations at about 11:30 midnight, worked throughout the night to install the new flow meter equipment at CMSA. Everything went well. And we have a new flow meter now at CMSA. So we'll hopefully some good accurate flows there at the treatment plant.
Yeah, one thing, Paul, you mentioned is that you thought the problem with the older flow meter was maybe the accuracy of low flows.
Yes. Yeah. So the reason the treatment plant was looking into these new technologies was the original flow meter is a very large 54 inch, as we know. And during spring, summer months, the flow is pretty low. So it doesn't get the velocity going through that pipe to really pick up the readings very well. So this is more in tune with lower flows and picking up smaller anomalies in the flows that come into the treatment plant.
Yeah, it'd probably be especially acute at midnight, right?
Yes.
For instance, when nobody's really using their wastewater as much, or water. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll really clean up some data and make sure we're getting the treatment that we're paying for with the correct flow.
That's really important. So I remember we talked about that at CMSA. It was all, I don't remember when that was, but it was a while back.
Line maintenance crew in November successfully located 3 lost nodes, one on Vista Drive in Kentfield, one on Hillside Drive in Kentfield, and one on Vista Grande in Greenbrae. This has been part of an ongoing initiative since I started here. I showed up when we first started. We had about 240 lost manholes, rod holes. And these also include blind tees where an intersection of pipe comes together, and it's really hard for us to clean properly because we're guesstimating which way. So we included those in our lost nodes. So we'll dig those up and then add a new manhole for access so we can properly clean in every direction. But out of the 240, staff has located 176 so far, only leaving 64 remaining. Staff are regularly and routinely looking for these as they're out doing their normal tasks. They're marked on the mapping system. So if they're in the area working on a certain task, they can look at their map. There's an indicator. There's a lost node here. And if time allows, they'll work with their supervisor and take that extra time to go find that node utilizing metal detectors, push rods, probes, all kinds of different efforts. But that we have had a 73% reduction in lost nodes in the last 3 or so years. So really good highlight there that the crews are working really hard out in the field to make sure we have proper access for all of our functions out in the field.
What happens? They get paved over?
Some of them get paved over in easements. The dirt will slough off and bury them and cover them. The blind tees have always kind of been buried. Homeowners sometimes will cover them up with landscaping rocks and pots and all kinds of fun stuff because they don't like looking at the manholes all the time. And then another note that we're doing once we one last note on this. When we do find a lost node, say in an easement where it was covered with dirt, we now have these 4-foot fiberglass stakes which say Ross Valley Sanitary District. They're reflective. So we drive those into the ground. And so now if staff are going out at night, say to investigate an overflow or to we can find them way more easily. We're not searching the ground. All they have to do is look for green markers out there in the fields and whatnot. So it's a big help. And the repair crew this last month installed 20 point repairs and performed 5 manhole rehabilitations. And another good month for condition assessment. They completed a total of over 16,700 feet of TV inspections. For CIP projects, there was 287 feet. Maintenance related was 14,000 and post rehab was 2,400 feet. So with the new staff that have been provided, it's really been helping. We're getting 2 CCTV trucks out there. We're moving in all directions, really making sure we're supporting the CIP program, doing the condition assessment on all the new pipes that have been installed, which ultimately leads to a new flushing schedule. And we're able to get that a lot quicker utilizing our own in-house CCTV rather than rely on a contractor to provide a video, which usually is not the quality or the rankings of defects and stuff that we would perform. So. And then unfortunately, we did have one spill.
Wait a minute. Let's talk about the next page. 38, 39, 38, 39. I mean, that's great. Under 43 months in a row, as Steve said. And I got to tell you, I looked at, I always look at this, one of the first things I look at, and that just jumped out at me. I love it.
No, it's great. And like I said, all the good work that Steve and Phil are doing out there, I really appreciate all their hard work because it really helps us in the long run and helps the district to perform at a high level. I'll also note, your guys' approval of the loans and the grants for homeowners for the lateral enforcement program is really helping. We've been doing really good with that. I believe we had about 70% completion rate with those notices. We recently resent out the delinquents, so we'll see if we get some more coming back in. But we really support that really helps as well.
Yeah, Paul, you've done a great job with the recycled water on board packet 343. We've got a nice percentage of recycled water use. And that's not easy to do.
We're really trying. We've come up with some new aspects and ways of using that. And instead of having staff go back and forth to the treatment plant, we modified one of the smaller VACCON CBO2, which was the response vehicle for on-call. And we were able to hook a hose to fill the back tank. So the senior for the flushing crew will drive that out, and then the crews are able to fill off of that VACCON and stay out in the field and keep flushing rather than have to come back and forth to the treatment plant. So where we can, we're doing that and kind of using it as somewhat of a tanker truck to keep the crews out and continue flushing out there. And then spills by cause, like I said, sorry, we had one spill in November. Fortunately, it was a Cat 4 spill of 12 gallons on Murray Avenue, right by M&G Burgers due to some grease.
Is that Larkspur or Fairfax?
That's in Larkspur.
Okay. There's two images.
Oh, well.
There's two images.
I thought you meant there were two more. Yeah, now I get it. Yes, I get it.
But the spill was fully contained and it was fully recovered. So luckily the whole spill was contained. And if I didn't grab this page, sorry, but if you do look at the spill table, I do want to comment, besides the one large category 1 that we had last month in the report, the majority of our spills, the 7 that we've had, are all Cat 4s, which are minor, under 50 gallons. So I understand the numbers creeping up there, but our gallons are typically low, except for that one spill that we had. And I want to let you guys know that we are really working hard to keep these numbers down. And I take it personally when these numbers start creeping up. So we're looking into ways to make sure we can keep it low throughout the rest of the year.
So wait, you think there was
So the result of the last 10 years has just been outstanding. I mean, it's just completely changed. So, the big spill of October doesn't compare to the big spills, from 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So I think you're doing a great job.
So you think it was the grease was from M&G's, as in they need a fog reach out?
I had CMSA go out and re-inspect them, and they were within their grease levels.
Okay.
So it could be a neighborhood issue. We'll be doing some more outreach in that area. There's a pretty good sag right there, which kind of collects some grease and whatnot. So
Isn't Murray closer to like the College of Marin and the Woodlands, Murray Avenue, you said?
it's Murray and Magnolia. It's
That's Larkspur.
Yeah.
That's not Fairfax.
No, I said Larkspur.
Oh, you did.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a little bit, it's about, I would say, a quarter of a mile, half a mile from the M&Gs. So yeah.
Well, yeah, it's near there. I think Paul was just saying it's near the M&Gs,
Roughly.
but I think this line isn't fed by M&Gs. It's fed by the neighborhood, I think. But,
Okay. Interesting.
yeah. It just happens to be near it.
Just where we annexed, right? Murray Park?
Yeah.
It's downstream of where we annexed. Yeah. Just downstream.
So with that, if there's any questions or comments you'd like to provide or ask,
Great job.
thank you so much.
Thank
I
you,
really
Paul.
appreciate all your guys' support.
Okay. Well, so with
Thank you,
that,
Paul.
I'm going to, that's the last agenda item. I'm going to adjourn the meeting after telling you that the next regular meeting will be January 21st, 2026 at 5 p.m. in this very room. Thank you all very much. Meeting is adjourned.